Okay, everybody, here we go. Off to work. 3-day weekend. Had to go see my neurologist Thursday, was it? Must have been Thursday. So I took off Thursday night. I know that's baffling to some people. Oh, dear me. What is this? Somebody's waiting to get out on the road for no reason. Just sitting there waiting and waiting. Oh, pretty good weekend. Got some decent painting done. Got some drawing done. Became obsessed with looking at logos over the weekend. Years and years and years ago, I took a 2-week trip to California. This would have been 93, I believe. While I was there, I went to a bookstore and they had several collections of logos, and I found them fascinating to look through. So I started thinking about that, and found some collections online. Very interested in the ones from the 70s. The creation of logos and stuff like that has become such a big deal. You know, it's odd, isn't it, that we in the West have prided ourselves on having an alphabetic written language and been totally confused by the logographic or pictographic written languages of Asia. But slowly we've picked up several thousands worth of symbols on our own. Mankind creates symbols. Alright. Found out this dude that lives here on the left is dead. Went to visit my mother Saturday, must have been, to meet my sister's boyfriend. And while I was there, I asked, is he dead? And he said, yeah, he died. Nobody told me. Anyway, I felt a little bit. I was down at my mother's about an hour and a half, and a little conversation with my sister, my mother, and my sister's boyfriend, and I felt bad afterwards because I ran my mouth so much. Felt like I, nerves for one thing, showing off for another. The boyfriend was kind of quiet. He's 61, and tried to draw him into the conversation a little bit, but he wasn't very voluble. Anyway, I only have one big topic to talk about. Don't know how much I'm going to be able to stretch that. This topic I've talked about many times in the past, but we'll get to that in a second. Hold on 1 second while I wait for the cars to go by. This is such a bad hill here. I can't see who's coming. Alright, let's go through the CDs in the bag. Once again, there won't be many surprises, but we'll see. Hold on a second. I'm getting a little tired of there being nothing on YouTube to watch, to listen to. And these right-wing channels, all they do is do the same thing. On the left-wing channels, all they do is do the same thing right-wingers do, which is grab little tidbits of the news that are slightly in our favor and trumpet them as big news. But you look up the actual item on the real news, and there's no mention of it because it's not a big deal. But any straw they can grasp at, once you realize that our side does just like the right-wingers do, it's sort of disappointing. All right. Number one, I have Miles Davis's Agartha. CD from '75. That's a double live album. Steve Lacy's Baya album. I think it's the last album he did before he died. Steely Dan, Two Against Nature. Steely Dan, Everything Must Go. I can't believe he's touring as Steely Dan when Walter Becker's dead. That's really shameful. Alright, this is the Shostakovich String Quartet CD. Bill Hassel and Blue Screen, Dressing for Pleasure. The more I listen to it, the more I really like it. And it's unfortunate I can't find anything else in his discography that's similar. I mean, or that's the same, I should say. This is Down's first record. I've got the next 3 that they did on MP3, and I haven't really had a chance to listen to it. I had them on my MP3 player for years, but this last week while I was at work, I listened to the second one in particular, and I was really surprised how good it is. What's next? German language instructional CD, and then we're back where we started. All right. The topic this week is how the Republican Party is allied to fundamentalist Christianity. And that's an obvious point, right? But here's the topic. This is what bothers me. The so-called left-wing media, and it's called left-wing media because they generally agree with the broadly left-wing side of the political spectrum. And the reason they do that is because the left is usually right about things. The left is usually telling the truth about matters. What bothers me is that mainstream media has they have a rightfully placed contempt for the fundamentalists, for the crazies amongst the religiously minded. But they have respect for people's simple faith. And they're not willing to call out religion in general, because it's not just the religious crazies. It's not just the biblical literalists. It's not just the evangelicals. It's not just the money huckstering TV preachers. It's not just the racist Christians. It's all of them. And the reason that all of them are bad is because the mentality that the overwhelming majority of Americans have is that when you die, you go to a magic place. You have a thing called a soul, which is indestructible. Your body might die, but your soul will live on. And the bad people will go to hell, or maybe not. But everybody gets to go. Everybody gets to continue their existence after the death of their brain, somehow. And you know, this type of thinking is why we can't get anything done as a species. Not just as the American federal government is concerned, but the idea that, well, it doesn't really matter if we use up all of our resources and pollute the planet, because number one, the Bible says we were put in charge of the planet and we can do what we want with it. And number two, the Bible says that man won't destroy the earth, God will, so therefore we can't possibly destroy the planet. And number three, who gives a shit, because we'll get to go to the magic place. And we'll get to see Grandma again. And we'll get to see Fluffy the cat we had when we were 5 years old. Oh, it'll all be wonderful. See, this type of thinking it leads to the denial of reality. And it bothers me that, the commonly accepted conception is, well, the left-wingers, they are all atheists and they hate religion and they hate our Christianity. But it's not true. Most of the liberal media, they have a sort of different conception of religion. They think of it as a warm, fuzzy force that makes you feel good, and that's just as bad, the way I see it, as the hardcore Christians who want to stone people in the streets for, working on the Sabbath. And that's the only topic I have for today, but I'm just so tired of it. Jesus, he was good. And that's one of the things that I can't remember where I saw it. I was watching something and somebody said something about, well, Jesus was good, but all the shit that came afterwards where they perverted his teachings, it's a bunch of bullshit. Jesus, if he existed, was a crazy person who said, I am God. Kiss my ass and do what I tell you to do. And for all those Christians who people who want to trip up Christians are like, well, you're disobeying this law and this law of the Bible. And they go, oh, well, that was the Old Testament. Jesus brought a new revelation and a new law, a new covenant and all this crap. That's not what the Bible says. And I think it's in the book of Matthew. They're questioning Jesus about something, and he says, I come not to fulfill this law or that law, but all the laws of the Judaic covenant. I will be even more of a whatever the hell it is, Pharisee or whatever, than the Pharisees. Meaning I will fulfill every jot and tittle of the law. Meaning you don't eat shellfish, and you don't wear clothes from 2 different types of fabric, and you don't do this and you don't do that, and But they don't want to, you ask them flat out, well, why do you believe in Christianity? Well, because the magic book says so. Okay, well, the magic book says this and this and this. Oh, well, we just conveniently ignore those parts. Oh, my God. I'm a little bit out of it. Anyway, that's about it. I just can't stand sort of mealy-mouthed, soft, wishy-washy respect that people who ought to know better give to faith. I'm trying to think what I did this weekend. I actually went out alone Saturday afternoon, ride around and take some photographs. I had fun. I have not yet had the privilege of riding around in this car with the window down. The weather hasn't been exactly right for that, but I did Saturday afternoon. Drove through these little old neighborhoods very slowly with the window down with my camera, taking pictures of stuff. It's nice. It's better though when you're able to walk around. best thing in the world. Take your camera and just wander. Let your eye lead you. Your photographic eye. Be amazed what you can discover to take pictures of. So much art in the world, both created by humans and just there to be discovered. I've learned about he calls himself an intuitive painter, but really it's gestural abstraction. But he does mixed media, but a lot of watercolor. His name is Stanley Kurth. And it's got a lot of instructional videos on YouTube, but for the most part, they're really not very good, because like one of them is an hour and 40 minutes, and the majority of the runtime is just him talking. Just do the painting and make commentary as you go. Don't waste time. The camera goes back and forth between the painting he's working on and his face, and he's expounding upon his artistic beliefs. But the work was pretty good. I'd love to do a series of instructional videos of my painting. It'd be fun. But that would take a long time too, because the way I paint is it takes forever, making endless layer after layer of soupy wet paint. Lay the canvas down flat, let that dry, and then you got to go back and forth between that and drawing to maximize the time. Oh, it's just going to be an interesting evening. Well, a little update. My wife is having heart surgery on Friday. So I'm going to have to skip work Thursday night. I thought it was going to be Thursday and Friday, but Thursday she's going in for a scan. They are going to have to put her under for that, but she doesn't think I'll have to skip work for that. But anyway, we don't know exactly. She has an irregular heartbeat, AFib, and we don't know exactly what they're going to do. Best case scenario is they do an ablation, where they burn something in the heart to make it stop beating irregularly. Worst case, they install some sort of device like a defibrillator or a pacemaker, but we will see. So she's terrified of that. I don't know what the outcome's going to be, and I don't care to speculate. But I'm trying to think of some things to tell you about work. Work is getting worse and worse. Worse and worse. All the plans that they have announced lead me to believe that nobody at the post office knows what the hell is going on. Don't know what they're doing. And mid-level management, low-level supervisors who have careers in mind, their attitude is basically, yes, Chief. Oh, what a great idea, Chief. We can do it, Chief. Please don't put a black mark on my record, Chief. I want to have a rocket ride to the top with my career. No matter how stupid it might be. Whatever the idea is. Oh, dear me. The only thing that matters, well, no, the only thing that matters is that I don't have to be moved to the new facility. But what really matters more than that is that I get to go back to my old job. And there's a little scuttlebutt going around that might happen. sometime at the beginning of the new year, next year. But we'll see. Oh dear, dear, dear. But I'm okay mentally, you know. I had such a weird experience last week while I was working, because I was able to maintain my well, say equanimity, my mental focus last week, you know, maintain a positive attitude about everything. Just sort of have to take it easy. Just, I wish I had like a, I don't know, like something dangling in front of my eyes all the time to remind me of how I'm supposed to think. It's so easy to get distracted by bullshit. Oh, back to symbols, are we? It's not just the logo, it's also the slogan, you know. Well, we're coming up on the end of the show here. Why would anybody listen to this? I need like a self-driving car so I can just read out some prepared text. But then I'd have the time to write it, you know, and I don't have the time for that. I started reading poetry again over the last couple of days, and no logical reason for it, but somehow it clicked in my head and just felt good. Dug out some poetry books that I got, 20 years ago, and read some of them, looked through them. Started reading Quiet Days in Clichy by Henry Miller, but in German. Alright, we're out of here. See you later.